So Dave, it's like obviously I don't get a chance to sit in this kind of soldiering company very often. Obviously you've got an amazing story, but I'm from your book, your military book, 4 Flags, the 2 volumes. So just tell us. I know it's almost impossible to have a condensed version, but your military career started in Vietnam.
Well, it started in the Marine Corps when I was 17. And I mean, you want to take it back a little farther. It actually started back January 1969. My mom and dad sat me down at the breakfast counter and said, hey, listen, you're not learning anything in school. And he says, and nothing teaches you anything besides pain and fear. And he says, the Marine Corps is going to run short of either. You want to go in the Marine Corps? Well, you can, but there's a little thing you're going to have to do. You're going to have to get straight B's for your last semester of your junior year. I was still 16 years old. Wouldn't turn 17 until April. And I said, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I mean, I was, whoa, ever since I was 12 years old, I read Battle Cry. I wanted to be in the Marine Corps, and also I wanted to, I said, well, why do I have to get B's, Dad? I said, I've always, D's, I passed, And he says, well, I just want the rest of the family to know that you're not as stupid as they think you are. And that was my dad's sense of humor coming through. And, I also wanted to measure up. Both my uncles were in destroyers in the Navy in World War II, Uncle Elmer and Uncle Harvey. My dad was in PBYs, which are patrol bombers, Whitehall, and there's Catalina seaplanes, but they carried bombs and torpedoes, and they're one of the most versatile aircraft that the naval aviation had at the time. He was at Pearl Harbor when he was 17, and he didn't come home from the war. He was flying in the Pacific until February 1945, when he was repatriated to the United States to be cross-trained on the torpedo dive bombers, which were carrier-based planes. Yeah. And he was a mechanic and a crew chief by then. And so I had to ask him years later. I said, why did you, have no problem with me going to the Marine Corps? I was going to 95% chance to go to Vietnam. He says, I never lost a night's sleep over it. He says, I knew the Marine Corps, and he says, I knew you, and I knew you'd come back like a bad smell. And I had no doubt. So I never missed a night's sleep on it. Your mother had a bit of problem with it, but I didn't. Anyway, so I went in, and I got the B's, and they signed the papers, and I went in June 30th, 1969. Yeah. And I boot camp, which was quite. The Marine Corps at the time was very brutal. And they were, and it was effective. They were, and I don't look at it as something, oh, poor us. I mean, I look back on it and say they took every bit of civilian out of us, and they put something else there that was mean and hard, and it was what you needed to go over there and survive, and do your job, and destroy the enemy, which is what it's all about. And I did all my infantry training, basic training, infantry, everything you go through, and I signed on to a first quota I could for Vietnam, and I shipped over in April. I was April 12th, my birthday, so it was April 14th. I actually went, and you have a few days in Okinawa to acclimatize to being not in the United States and kind of get your not be jet lagged, and also they give you prisoner of war indoctrination, or more of it, and then I went on to Vietnam, and just a long story short, I ended up being in helicopters, which I shouldn't have been. I was in motor transport. Yeah. That was the worst day of my life when they announced the MOSs, which are military occupational status. Yeah. I wanted to be an infantryman, backbone of the Marine Corps. Yeah, God, kill, and everything you do, rah rah. And when they said motor transport, I nearly swooned. And because I wasn't a mechanic. I mean, I've worked at mechanical stuff all my life, just out of desperation and no money. Yeah. And I probably broke more things than I've fixed. And it was no different than the motor pool. Yeah. And so they put me on a 30. You got 30 days TAD, temporary additional duty, to fly on 46 aircraft, which are the twin rotor, not the real big. They're Boeings. They're not Chinooks, and a smaller version for the Marine Corps Navy, and but as a 50 cal gunner. we go in, resupply and, do medevacs and things of that sort.
Yeah.
Troop insertions, emergency extractions, guys, recon teams under fire. And I really did, they put me on it because I was a lousy mechanic, and I nearly downed our helicopter once for not safety wiring something. And it was just by the grace of God himself that we didn't. We the friction collar, which keeps all the stack up, but all the stuff that operate the rotor blades. And it was down to, there was 2 threads left on it, and it could have come off. And if had that happened, we'd have overspeeded the engine, which will blow the compressor. We'd have blown up in midair, and really bad stuff. Anyway, so I had some guys from night crew come out that just said, hey, I thought they're gonna beat my ass, which I had it coming. Candy bar, that they call me Dave Barr, so I pick up candy bar, and they said, you're a lousy mechanic. I said, oh yeah, I'm a lousy mechanic. Yes, indeed. So, well, we don't want to be flying anymore. We want to finish. We're 30 days. We're under 30 days. We don't want to fly. We're finished. I says, okay. And he says, just sign off one of our birds. You come back with a shot up helicopter, and or a mechanical problem. Just sign one of ours off. Go. I never stop flying. So you'll end up in a shootout with sometimes 3 times a day. Twice during the day and once, maybe even twice during the night. Constantly rearming and getting ready to go again. And it's very stressful. Yeah. And the bird is up, you stay on it, you stay on duty. And it goes down, then I would just go and get another helicopter. It wouldn't work on it. Usually the crew chief will start a maintenance schedule on it. And I would just I just go and sign off another one and go. And anyway, so and it worked out great. Everybody got what they wanted, and I turned my wings upside down on April 14th, 1971, and I'd been there a year, and I was 18, and I was 19 and 2 days old by then. Because I got over there, I was 18 and about 8 days old. I had it was everything I ever wanted. It just worked out very well. How the Lord works, and I was better at that. And funny enough, I shouldn't have been flying because I'm colorblind as a bat. I mean, I'm horribly colorblind, but I can see camouflage. I can see things that you cannot see. I can see things at night you can't see, and it really was a boost. I learned the red and green tracers. I couldn't tell them apart, but I'd listened to the pilots' radio. I'd monitor their radios and their briefing on their way out. Incoming fire from the north, the east, or wherever. Yeah. And I'd orientate myself on the compass inside because at night it's hard to do. Yeah. And with a compass inside the helicopter. And I knew which way and who was firing at who, and that's how I figured it out. Sometimes you're shooting within 10 meters of your guys, and it's no flights on the weapons, nothing. It's all Kentucky windage. Yeah. And anyway, my year was over, and I went back home, and just the country was torn apart by the war, and the racial problems of the Marine Corps were horrible. And if you got in trouble with a black, that was it. You were going to be cashiered out of the Marine Corps and undesirable discharge, and there's a code on the back of your discharge. You'll never get a good job. Yeah. And anyway, so I was, and I did the rest of my time. I got out and had a good job, a lot of things. I was doing really well, but I didn't have anything. I was not committed to anything. Yeah. There's no absolute and total commitment as there was in the Marines in Vietnam to your fellow Marine. Yeah. And I ended up, I took a one-way ticket, packaged motorcycle up, put it away, went on a one-way ticket to Europe and hitchhiked around, and I arrived in Israel. And, I think August 1974. And I arrived with $20 in my name. Didn't know anybody, didn't have any address, didn't speak a word of the language, but I was there.